there, Agile Adventurer. Just a quick question. What if, for the price of a fancy coffee or half a pizza, you could unlock over 700 hours of the best Agile content on the planet? That's audio, video, e-courses, books, presentations, all that you can think of. But you can also join live calls with world-class practitioners and hang out in a flame war-free and AI slop-clean Slack with the sharpest minds in the game. Oh, and yes, you get direct access to me, Vasco, your Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. No, this is not a drill. It's the Scrum Master Toolbox membership. And it's your unfair advantage in the Agile world. So if you want to know more, go check out scrummastertoolbox.org/membership. That's scrummastertoolbox.org/membership. And check out all the goodies we have for you. Do it now. But if you're not doing it now, let's listen to the podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Team Tuesday this week with Salum Abdul-Rahman. Rahman. Salum, welcome back.
Thanks. Still here.
Still here. There you go. 3 more days to go, plus this one. All right. So Tuesday is Team Tuesday. We talk about how teams sometimes become their own worst enemies. But before we dive into that, Salum, share with us, what was the book that most inspired you in your career as a Scrum Master?
I was thinking that this could be a really great way to introduce some of the nonfiction that I love to read or some of the philosophy books. But unfortunately, I'm going to be really boring and go with Agile Retrospectives, Making Good Teams Great, which is you've probably heard it a million times on this podcast, but I think that's one of the most important books for every Scrum Master to read and understand. Simply.
We all have different reasons to recommend that book, right? So what's yours, Salum?
Because one of the most important, most important role of the Scrum Master is to help the team develop and help the team, empower the team themselves to develop. And running good retrospectives, running meaningful retrospectives, and developing the tools and understanding for that is vital. So you can't really help a team if you tell them what to do. You gotta make them do it themselves. And since retrospectives are the ritual, which is like the first step for using them, I think understanding, and that book just gives such a clear understanding of why and how of retrospectives.
Is there a specific lesson from that book that you think, okay, this is a key one, and I want to share it with the audience?
I think the important thing to learn from that book is the importance of variation. So not all retrospectives are built alike, and you need to understand what the team needs and build them to and build them and facilitate them to your team's needs and your team's maturity level. And like having that 5-stage model with different options you can put in for different phases. It's such a Lego brick level of instruction manual on how to build different kind of retrospectives and to develop the understanding of what kind of tools, what kind of phases your team needs.
It is a great book. It's been recommended several times. If you want to listen why others find this book interesting, just check out the tags on this post show notes and find other people recommending the same book. Agile Retrospectives, Making Good Teams Great.
by Esther Darby and Diana Larson, great authors themselves as well. So thank you for the recommendation. The link is in the show notes. But Salum, we're also here to talk about teams and how sometimes they dig their own holes, so to speak. So tell us the story of a team. Give us a little bit of a context, how many people, what kind of project, and then walk us through the little behaviors, attitudes, things that the team started doing that ultimately led to their demise.
Well, I'm not sure if the team demised actually, but I was working with a team during the COVID period, and people were working mostly remote. So we did have the opportunity to come to the office, and this was a large grocery e-com, and I think. This was a clear example of just focusing on just your own work. So people were so comfortable working remotely that they started to design the work so that they could be done alone remotely with minimal communication. And that led to people working for days alone on stuff and not getting it finished. And this was very senior developers. So I think that's like the lure of individual contribution, the lure of what works for me, and prioritizing that over the team just meant that by the time I was moving to another client, that nothing was getting done.
This is
familiar.
Yeah, this is of course. To be honest, this has happened even before COVID and even in co-located teams. So I guess the COVID and the remote work aspect here just favors, kind of creates the environment where this is easier to happen. But tell me a little bit more. What were the things that kind of somehow along the way gave the team the impression that they were doing the right decisions by splitting the work so that they could work independently? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, and perhaps this is one of the underlying insights that we should all acknowledge, is that software that is built by a team cannot be built alone. Otherwise, it would not be built by a team, right? But what were these, like, I don't know, insights, maybe even conditions, maybe even pressure that was there that kind of gave the team members the idea that working alone was actually better?
I think in this case, it was mainly like the biggest red flag was the lead developer on that team. So that was his strong preference to work from home. It was his strong preference to not communicate. We were getting feedback that people were sending him Slack messages and he would respond a day, 2 days later while he was like working remotely. I know this behavior was escalated to management, and there were some plans of putting them on a performance improvement plan, but I think it was just a case of a person with a very good technical skill set, but with no leadership capability, no ability to understand, like he didn't have the maturity to understand what teamwork actually needed. And instead of taking action, leadership allowed this person to be on the team for way too long.
When I think about this story, of course, we're never. It's not possible to prevent things like this from happening. Of course, I mean, otherwise we wouldn't notice them happening. But once they start happening, we need to have some tools to kind of bring up the topic, to kind of discuss it, to kind of try to solve it at least. What were the things that you tried at the time to raise the topic of course, to management, as you said, but what else did you try to kind of bring up the topic and allow the team to kind of get together and try to solve the problem of this, let's call it cowboy coder, because this is a very old pattern. It's not a new pattern at all, right?
Well, I was organizing face-to-face workshops and face-to-face kickoffs and retrospectives and open spaces in order to get people to have that experience of what working together actually is. Of course, the challenge was that this person would use many tools to avoid participating in those.
Okay, well, that's a definite red flag, right? If people actively prefer to disengage from participating in shared events.
Yeah. So I think like one example was that there was an invite that was sent that clearly said that this is an on-site event, but Teams had automatically added a remote link to that. So then they said, because there was a Teams link, I thought this was a hybrid workshop. But this is something I'm still salty about with Microsoft, that they did it. They made the automatically adding a Teams link to event requests. It was a feature that they added during COVID, and I hadn't noticed this before I sent this. That if you create an event, it automatically toggles the Teams meeting link.
This experience of working together is very important. Of course, face-to-face maximizes it, but even if we are in a fully remote teams, and there are many fully remote teams out there these days, we can still have workshops that are remote, but they are about working together. Do you have some that you use these days, Salum? Something that you could recommend or a resource for helping to organize this working together, even if we are remote?
I just use the same tools that I use for like the same exercises I use for on-site workshops. You just use the Kanban tools and like the virtual whiteboards and whatever breakout rooms, and you just, I mean, it's a lot harder to facilitate that kind of, like, for example, architecture design discussion for a larger group.
Yeah, absolutely. Also because it disengages people just by the fact that it is remote.
Yeah, and with architecture for example, you need to break it apart into different concerns, and then break down the discussion into manageable chunks for a shared discussion. Whereas when you are together, you can allow it to be more free form with people on the whiteboard. I mean, it's sometimes it's really fascinating to see like senior software developers or junior software developers, just like a couple of persons and a whiteboard and some post-it notes and marker, and see how like a shared understanding develops. And I haven't really managed to get that flow experience, like seeing that flow experience in remote. I mean, you can get good results, but I still feel that it's rather more challenging. And it requires a lot more commitment from the people working remotely. And I understand that, like, if people choose to work remotely and the whole team decides that this is a good way for them, then that's what we do. But I do feel that a lot of people don't understand how much more intensity and discipline you need to work remotely and to participate in remote workshops. This is not something like if it's an on-site workshop, it's usually enough to just show up well rested, and then like the situation
with enough coffee.
Yeah.
That's actually a very good point, that when we facilitate remote sessions, we need to be mindful that we need to have shorter working sessions, more breaks, so that the energy is much higher than it would be necessary if we were all co-located, right? Because once we do, sometimes I've been in like 4 or even 6 hour meetings online, and it's very easy to see people kind of dropping off. They are not literally dropping off. They might even have the camera on, but you can clearly see that the lack of engagement is there. So that's an area where maybe there's another episode here, how to engage people during remote workshops and working sessions. But for today, thank you very much for sharing that story with us, Salum.
Problem.
All right, I hope you liked this episode. But before you hit next episode, here's the deal. This podcast is powered by people like you, the members who wanted more than just inspiration. They wanted real tools and real connection to people who are practicing Agile every day. We're talking access to over 700 hours of Agile Gold, CTO level strategy talks, summit keynotes, live workshops, e-courses, deep dive interviews, books, and if you're into no estimates, we got the pioneers of no estimates in those deep dive interviews as well. Agile business intelligence, creating product visions, coaching your product owner courses, you name it. You'll get invites to monthly live Q&As with Agile pioneers and practitioners, plus a private Slack community, which is free of all of that AI slop you see everywhere, and of course, without the flame wars. It's a community of practitioners that want to learn and thrive together. It's the best place to connect with community and learn together. So if this podcast has helped you before, imagine what you will get from this podcast membership. So head on over to scrummastertoolbox.org/membership and join the community that's shaping the future of Agile. And we have so much for you. So check out all the details at scrummastertoolbox.org/membership, because listening is great, it's important, but doing it together, that's next level. I'll see you in the community Slack. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.